aspects of leadership building and leadership skill sets that are essential for reaching the higher levels of prosperity. So we discussed the principles, the habits, the disciplines, and yes, the action steps required to reach the six-figure annual income for those that have those kind of aspirations, and the multiple six-figure annual incomes, including the six-figure monthly incomes. Obviously, to reach that level of success, we're going to need to employ a number of skills and disciplines and principles that go far beyond a part-time income. And so we discussed that here for the developing leadership in Zija International. Tonight we have a special guest on the line, and I'll introduce Ross in just a couple of minutes. Ross Quinn is one of my key mentors, someone that I learned a lot from in the early days of my personal development journey over 2 decades ago. So that'll give you a little bit of insight, and we've always stayed in touch, and we were chatting earlier today, and Ross said he'll join us tonight on call and share a few ideas and a few concepts. So you may want to have pen and paper ready. There may be a couple of pearls that you pick up tonight that you can use both in your own business building activities, but also as you train, coach, and inspire others in the process. I also want to just take a moment and cover the fact that this past Saturday, Zija International launched an unprecedented incentive promotional program, which has got underway literally since Saturday, and will continue all the way to the end of this week, and then into the following week, and then the following week after that. But this week is essential for those who are looking to take advantage. And I know that there may be a lot of new people on the line tonight, and if you're new, you may have questions regarding the Zija products and a little bit about the company. We generally don't cover that on this particular call, but I'm sure the person who invited you will surely get all of your questions answered, and certainly you're welcome to join us on our Wednesday call with the formulator of the Zija products, where you will get all your questions answered regarding that. But tonight we want to talk about prosperity, we want to talk about advancing business, we want to talk about what does it take to develop a large organization. A lot of people ask me, and I'm sure they ask other leaders, how have you built 180,000 plus people on your team? And the answer, when you hear it tonight, is not what you probably think it would be. It's actually a lot easier than that, a lot simpler, when you follow a few disciplines, and we'll talk about that this evening. And so Zija launched this program on Saturday. It is designed to create massive success as it relates to creating a paycheck or a commission check quickly. In other words, getting success into people's pocket immediately, literally their first week upon getting started. And I think obviously that's going to be motivational for anybody who's looking at Zija as a business and as a way to create a primary or secondary income. And so you definitely want to get information regarding that program, because that program could literally put you on the fast track your first day in this business. And so, Ross, I think it appropriate, maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the concepts around creating success in anything for that matter, but as it relates to our business, building an organization. And ladies and gentlemen, just to give a little bit of background on Ross, I've known Ross for, as I mentioned, 2 decades now. He has been in the personal development field for well over 3 decades, probably closer to 4. His father goes back all the way into the 60s in personal development. And for those of you that have heard of Landmark Forum, He had some relation to people that started Landmark Forum way back in the early days of training. Ross has done well over 1,500 presentations, spoken to over 150,000 plus people all over the world, has authored many books, including co-authoring a book with Stephen Covey, Ken Blanchard, and Jack Canfield. And the book is called Speaking of Success. There's also the Love-Based Leader, and a powerful CD set called Get Over Yourself. And Ross, always a good time to be grateful. Thanks for all that I picked up off of you back in the early 90s. As you can see, personal development does work, does make a difference, and here we are some 20 plus years later, and the level of success that has manifested since those early days of when I took that 5-day course up at the ranch with you, I still use much of the principles and training today, and so I thank you for that.
Well, first off, I just want to wish you and all my Canadian friends a happy Canada Day. I'm telling you, when you're dealing with prosperity consciousness, my dad used to say something that is so appropriate here, because everybody thinks they got to make big changes to make big prosperity, and nothing could be further from the truth. Well, yeah, getting to the big change probably is right, but nobody gets there making a quantum leap. They get there doing tiny steps, and what gets in the way is old mindset. Think of it this way, David. The first word that you learned to say when you were a baby was probably mommy or daddy or something like that, right?
Exactly.
But that wasn't the first word you knew. You know what the first word you knew was? Can you guess?
I'm hungry.
No, first word you knew really well, and I bet a lot of people have already guessed it. The word no. You heard it 1,000 times a week, and sometimes with pain attached when you got your hand slapped. No, 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 whack. And somewhere inside that developing genius, I think most people have developed some kind of limitation. I believe that low self-worth is the biggest disease in our culture. It pollutes everything. What my dad used to say is most people would rather be right than successful. And I'm going to say that again. Most people would rather be right than successful. In other words, it's almost okay to be a dismal failure as long as you can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that it's not your fault. You got somebody to blame, or some company to blame, or something wrong. And if it isn't true for those of you that are on the line, believe me, it's true for many of the people that you're trying to wake up that they could change their life by just simply changing a direction. But you take somebody who has made, oh my God, let's say $1,000 a week, and they start thinking in terms of 6 figures, and that just automatically sets up the no phrase over and over and over again. And so what I find in all the work that I do is, think of Christopher Columbus leaving Portugal, and if he'd have changed his course 1 degree, he'd have discovered Brazil. And what difference would that have made in the world? That's a big difference from discovering the Bahamas, of course, but it wouldn't have taken a big change to get there. One change, do one thing, keep doing it, and just don't give up. And most people don't give themselves credit for what they can do that they haven't tried yet, and we just get ourselves stuck in a rut. You and I were talking earlier today about the 80-20 rule, that 80% of the results are created by 20% of the people, and my experience is that's fat. I think it's more like 8 or 10%. I feel a lot more comfortable with 10% of the people are doing 90% of the results. It is those people who will take an idea that anybody like myself will give them, that'll run with them. But the other 90, it's business as usual the next morning. Something's wrong at home, and they carry it into their business. find ways to procrastinate or to avoid their own greatness, and then wonder at the end of the day why they're exhausted. And in fact, all they've been doing is fighting themselves. So for me, I find that if you just take what you normally would have done, and the word I want to leave with everyone today and I really want to talk about is the word one. If you talk to one person, try, if everyone on this phone, my God, the magic meal is not dinner out with the buddies, and it's breakfast. What if you had one breakfast meeting with a qualified...
No, we were doing, it's funny, Ross, I was working out some numbers on, everybody wants to, every company wants to create momentum.
Yep.
And every leader wants momentum on their team.
Yep.
And every new person who joins that does not yet have a team or has a small team that's developing wants to put it into overdrive, wants to put their team into momentum.
Yep.
And so I'm often asked the question, so what do I need to do? Because people think in terms of this massive effort when in fact it's really about adding one. And it's not just about you adding one, it's about you and your entire team adding one. So everybody...
If you develop a culture in your team of one more, if everyone on this call tomorrow stopped where they normally stop and then went, wait a minute, what were David and Ross talking? Okay, and picked up their phone, especially if they just got their head handed to them on a plate, and just called one more person. I guarantee you that a larger percentage of those would be sales than the previous call. Guarantee it. There's something the universe likes about, okay, I'm all done for the day, my family's waiting for, okay, I'll just make that one more call. I'm all done for the day, I'm tired, I want to go watch TV, I'm going to just make one more call. I'm in the store and I just talked to somebody and it worked really good, and I see somebody else, just talk to one more person. It doesn't matter where you add it, how you add it, all you've got to do is notice when you were going to stop doing anything and then do one more and watch the magic. And then if you can filter that in through your system, you'll be in the top producers, you'll be the key players unbelievably fast.
And people, again, I'm always interviewed and I'm asked, like, there's a magic formula, and there isn't. I used to work really hard. Now, it's not that I don't work hard today, but I work smart.
Yep.
So I have leverage working for me while I'm working. And there's a difference between that than really working hard. Now, what is the difference in the leverage? And that difference is the concept of just a little bit more, just one more. I remember in some of the trainings that we did 20 years ago, so many of the training cycles and the different exercises in the different classes always were based on stretching just a little bit further than the previous class.
It's unbelievably powerful, as you know. And what's really amazing is if you looked at the people that were around us both 20 years ago, how many of them do you think went back to business as usual instead of just taking that path of, I'm going to stretch myself one more step today. I'm just going to talk to one more person tonight. I'm just going to send out one more email today. Whatever it is. How many of those people do you think ever even saw anything resembling success, David?
Well, I can't speak for the class that I was in, Ross, but here's what I can speak for. I can speak for the fact that I've applied those principles, many people have picked up on those principles that I work with and have gone on to excel past any successes that I've had in picking up, not just principles that I learned from you or that you picked up from others, but that they've picked up from a number of different trainings, and some of which have been some of the things that I've done.
Well, one of the things that separated you from the crowd from the very beginning is you actually believed you were going to be successful. You weren't wishing for it. You weren't hoping for it. You absolutely knew it. And I guarantee you there was times when the distraction came up and you just simply said to yourself, Yeah, but a successful person doesn't go out for the beer while it's still phoning time.
Okay, well, I'm going to make a confession here. There's a combination. Yes, I absolutely knew I was going to be successful. Yes, there were times that you have, fear and doubt that creep in.
Of course.
But then you quickly put them aside. And yes, I kind of had nowhere else to go except back to what I did prior to network marketing, and that really wasn't an option for me. Now, this program that the company has launched, which is ultimately based on everybody taking action, is designed actually to compound and to grow and to launch new people and advance their business. So, in other words, it's not about what we do this week, but it's about what we do this week added to next week, multiplied by the following week, and then compounded many times in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th week, because what we do today obviously is going to set the bar and set in motion, the principles that will create the duplication, that will create growth in a person's business. And maybe you could speak on that concept as it relates to the power of one.
Well, first off, I was impressed that your company invests that kind of program. A lot of the companies I've spoken to just won't do that. And that what they've really said is, if you guys want to be successful, we'll run with you. And the sad part is that those top percent producers, they're a team, and their top producers, they're all out there. If they were going to bring 5 new people into the business this week, they went to 10. The next 10% might have done 1, but below that 80%, most of those people, they're not doubling their income. They're not even adding. They're not even getting to the 1. It's really amazing watching the sabotage that people get because they think, I can't get 5, I can't get 10. All they've got to do is talk to 1. Okay, get beat up. Well, talk to 1 more. You get beat up, talk to 1 more. The reality is, somewhere somebody's getting excited about your business, and somebody else is finding them. I don't think that the people at the top of your heap, not to insult them, are much smarter than anybody new. They just simply, they're there because they simply take advantage of when there's a way to double your income doing the same thing, they double their efforts on top of that. They don't do the same thing, they do more.
Well, actually, let me clarify that. The company has set it up this way, Ross. They haven't said we're going to double your income this week by doing the same thing that you would normally be doing. It's actually ridiculous. They said we're going to multiply it by 4,
which is extremely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I had to double check because it didn't sound right. But it's based on new people, so if I sponsor you tonight, I bring you into the business, by helping you get started in the business, you're getting a multiple of 4 relative to what you would have got otherwise this week. And then next week, the multiples continue, although next week it's not 4, it diminishes a little bit, but it's still major multiples as you're bringing people. So this is designed to really launch people this summer, advance the momentum in August, and then turbocharge it in September, leading right into the company convention. And so, we're coming up, we've got a few minutes left. In terms of a person taking action, and you've dealt with everything from, procrastination and things that block us and things that get in our way, and I think there's a saying, the smallest thing that gets in our way, is going to affect what level of success we have, or maybe you can reframe that phrase. What can a person do right now, everybody that's on this line, to dramatically advance their results and launch themselves this week into that program, if we were talking just from a pure personal development standpoint?
Well, what I would like to give your group a gift, and I'm going to share with them a couple of things, that if they see themselves change that one thing this week, I guarantee that their results are going to be multiplied over they would have done. And I want everybody to get out a piece of paper, but I'm going to read you a couple of things that under no circumstances, be like David. It doesn't matter what the distraction is. This week, it doesn't matter. You don't got to do it forever. Just 1 week. Just 1 week. And here's the words I want to leave with people. Has procrastination ever kept you from making one more call or hanging in there? The second one I want you to write down is rationalizing. The third thing that gets in people's way, I'm not saying fear. Fear is always going to be there. I don't even care about fear anymore. I just assume it's going to be there. But what behavior does the fear trigger when it's there? Fear of rejection, fear of failure, all of that stuff. And if you start worrying, you're done. So write worry down. Who are the worriers out there? If I was in an audience right now, I guarantee you half the audience would raise their hand. The people that are sitting out there trying to bulldoze people into the business. Write down bulldozing. The people, are you invisible? Do people not even know what you do? Write down the word invisible. And probably the biggest thing I see people do is denial. They just don't see that there's something they could do different. And if you're working stupid and you work harder, then you're working double stupid. I mean, it doesn't matter how much harder you work. It's not going to happen if you keep doing the same thing that isn't working. Quit denying that it's something else. Try something different. I don't even care what it is. Do something different. Talk to different people. Have a different attitude. People ask me what I do for a living. I don't ever say I'm a public speaker. I say I change lives. They go, what? And then I'm talking. Nobody wants the product, but they want what the business can do, or they want what the product can do. People want results. What are you people really doing when you excite somebody about changing their lives? You're changing lives. Somebody asks what you do for a living, you say, I change lives. I guarantee you they're going to ask you about that. The door is open because they're curious. But I don't care. Don't use my words. But just don't keep sitting in denial that there's something different you could be doing. If what you're doing isn't working, do something else. And just get there. And just keep going. I mean, this determination is omnipotent. And the universe, I'm going to repeat something I said earlier because it's so important, is every time you got to finish for the day, if you do one more, I guarantee you that's going to be the highest percentage call of the day.
Participants in your conference.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, Rod.
Okay. I guarantee that'll be people's highest call of the day. It's highest percentage call of the day. It's just extraordinary. All the companies I've worked with all the people I've coached, that magic of one more is everything. But all of the hurdles that I just shared, whatever's in the way, can't be more important than one more. If it is, you lose. But more than you losing, the person whose life you could have changed doesn't know they could have changed it. And that's sad.
That's a big piece I just want to ride on because we often talk about what our level of prosperity and success that we will have in this business will be directly proportionate to how many other people we can help also have success, also advance in their own growth.
Now, you know what I'm going to tell you here. You don't know what I'm going to say, but I just spent a week in the advanced course that I taught you 24 years ago with teenagers, 12, 13, 14 years old, deciding that behavior that they've been doing over and over again by 12 isn't acceptable anymore. Do you have any idea where those kids will be in 20 years? To learn that, where would you and I be if we'd have learned that at 12? I'm telling you, leadership doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a picture. It's a person that's decided that right now I'm going to do something different than normal. And then all of a sudden people go, what? Where'd that come from? And they notice. You may not reach everybody that you exert your greatness with, or your uniqueness, or what you're doing different with. But people will notice the change. And some of them will go, what's going on? And then the door's open for their reasons, not yours. They're never going to do anything for your reasons. People that get up this morning thinking, I wonder how I can make David rich today. I don't think anyone's ever gotten up in the morning saying, I want to make Ross successful today. It often felt just the opposite. And it didn't matter how sincere I was. It didn't matter. And every time I was not reaching somebody, I had to do something different. And I just kept doing it. I just don't stop. I'm insane. I hate rejection more than any person on the planet. And what do I do for a living? Public speaking. I hate it.
Well, I think when again, if I go back to 1993, the fall of 93, when I did the IPI with you, aside from all the other facilitating and training throughout the 90s, probably the biggest anchor that I have from that training was how far I was able to stretch.
Yep.
Beyond anything that I ever thought I could do that was even possible. And so everybody else that was in class also went through that process and realized that whatever they thought their limitations were not even a concept by the end of that 5 days. I still have.
If you think back to that, remember the concept of one. We never took you very much further than the last victory. Over and over again for those 5 days. We kept, okay, that's done, now let's do something harder. Okay, that's done, now let's do something harder. People get up in the morning and they go easy, 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 then something hard. Why don't they get up in the morning and do something hard and start towards success? First thing. Hate to exercise, do it first. Do something hard.
And this is what this week is all about, ladies and gentlemen, in Zija. He or she who fully engages, and many have engaged already this weekend. My phone's been ringing off the hook pretty well all weekend. There's been all kinds of team calls, conference calls, webinars, PBRs, and every other kind of presentation. But he or she that advances that, and I got one group that's doing a presentation every 2 hours. Every 2 hours they've got a conference call going on. Right? So, I mean, one call is building on the next call, building on the next call, building on the next call. Right. He or she that gets off this line, engages in that activity, does a wind sprint from now until the end of the week. Tomorrow night there's the corporate power hour call, and Wednesday is the product call with our formulator, and then everything in between that is going to launch their business, take it to a whole new level this week alone, and then those seeds that were planted, or the pump that has been primed this week, will then start to compound next week. And my expectation, Russ, I'm sitting here in Toronto. I'm almost feeling guilty. I'm in my home office, and my team's going to grow by 30,000 people in the next 60 days, maybe more. 30,000 without leaving my house.
Yeah, but you go back 20 years when you were making 150 phone calls a day, and I'm not exaggerating. You paid your dues.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that there's a lot of great people in this company, and a lot of them are on this line tonight. And I know what they're doing for their own success and the success of their teams. And that's what's generating that growth. That growth will happen for each and every person. And Ross,
do I have time to tell a quick story? And
yeah, we're down to the last minute or two, but go ahead. You can take the.
I'll do this really quick. When I say do one more, you've got to know what the enemy is. There's two enemies: success and failure. The 2 times I see people quit and don't take that one more step, as I said earlier, if you get your head handed to you on a plate, you want to go play golf. But if you make a big sale, you want to go play golf. You know, it's a big person who can make a big sale, be excited about it, and then who's next? So it's not just the failure that needs to make that one more. It's the success. And that's it. And I just want to tell you, back in 1974, before I got involved with this work, I was selling advertising in Oregon, which is twice the size of Pennsylvania with fewer people than Philadelphia. That's a tough road, and I'm on the road all week. and I could go all week and not make a dime, and I just made my best week ever. And I think I'd made $4,000 that week, and I was so excited I was headed out of town early. And on my way out of town, I drove by this one business where the owner had been gone all week, and I saw the Cadillac in front of his store, and I knew that was his car, and I knew he was back. And so about 10 minutes down the road, I finally said, damn. And I turned the car around, drove back, made one more presentation. This guy gave me the biggest sale of the week and a list of names. My next week doubled. It was that one thing right at my best moment. Instead of saying, oh, my wife will be happy, I'm happy, my boss is happy. Nope, I can do that one more. And my life changed by turning that car around and driving back that 10 minutes.
Well, and there are many stories, Ross, right here in Zija, of people that made that one more call, that sent out one more package, that did one more three-way phone call, and it was that call, it was that package, it was that presentation where the top leader that came into their business that took them into the stratosphere.
And sometimes it's a person's first sale ever, because they just said, okay, one more, and it just blows their mind. The universe wants you to win. It just does.
Well, Ross, always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you again, and we will have you on the MIT leadership call, and maybe we'll build for it. You know, this was kind of a last-minute thing, and thank you for taking the time to come on.
And if we do get a chance to do something in a week or two, I'd really like to share with your group about how they can improve their own emotional intelligence to reach people more effectively. It's one thing to make one more call, but it's another thing to do it more effectively.
And we will work on that, because I know that's one of your new keynotes, emotional intelligence, and so we'll work on that. Ross, thank you very much for sharing with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new on the line, get back with the person who invited you. I know tonight was a little bit different in terms of content, but find out about what Zija has put into place that can propel you to an entirely new level of prosperity. It is strong. It is going to put money in people's pockets their very first week, and something significant, I might add. And it will be a great way to take your business to the next level. If you're an existing member, you will surely see your business grow by taking action. So we'll catch you on the Zija Corporate Power Hour call tomorrow night. Thank you for joining us on Millionaires in Training. I wish everybody continued success. Thank you, Ross. The lines are open.
Michael Stack in Sacramento, California. Great call. Thank you.